You are listening to the Chasing PRs podcast. Today we're talking about all things recovery. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Chasing PRs, a podcast for everyday runners who want to make the most out of their training and achieve new personal records while managing work, family, and life outside running.
I'm Rochelle Weeks.
I am Diego Alcubierre, and we are your host of this awesome podcast, at least for us, right?
Yes.
Hopefully for a lot of people.
We're enjoying it.
Exactly, we're enjoying it a lot. So today, as you already know, we are talking about the top recovery tips for runners. But before we go into that, we just want to talk to you about our training. Why do we do this? Because we are regular runners, are you? But we think a lot about running and are very serious runners, we can say it, like in quotes, but runner is a big part of our life, let's put it that way.
Yeah, we're not trying to make any sort of national teams, but we have certain goals. Usually it's competing within ourselves that we want to achieve, and we do a lot of research and experiment with what works. So
we're working in the running industry, so we think it could be useful to a lot of runners to know. So let's talk about your training. You're doing the Boston Half Marathon in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
almost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
What have you been training?
I just did my longest long run of the program. So I did 26K yesterday, and then this coming weekend I'll do 22, and then the weekend after I'll do 15 and then race.
Okay.
And it's interesting because when I'm programming for patients and doing their long runs for the half marathon, I'll sometimes if it's their first half or their second, I'll only take them up to 18 or 20, and then race day they can get to the full distance because they feel good. But a lot of people do want to do the 21 before they race, just for confidence. But I've done like 15 half marathons, and the last few I've gone beyond the half marathon distance just to get that extra aerobic fitness. And then when you look at 21, it doesn't seem so daunting. And so last year I went up to 28. This year I ran out of time. I ran out of weeks. So 26 this weekend. So hopefully that'll feel good in 3 weeks' time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're feeling good?
Yeah. I feel really good today. I think it's the strength training. I'm really, I could go for a run today. I'm not because it's my rest day.
Yeah.
But it's really hard because it's 20 degrees and sunny out today.
And be smart runners. I know it's hard when it's we're almost at the end of October and we have 16 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very hard not to run today.
Yes. But it's one of the important things not to get injured and to recover from your runs, that we're talking about recovery today. And just take it from Rochelle that it's hard, but it's worth it.
It's worth it in the long run. Absolutely.
I love that.
What about you?
I have my marathon this weekend. I was just doing math yesterday about the 4 months before my spring marathon and this one, and I'm running pretty much the exact same mileage. And
you were happy with your marathon?
It was my best marathon. I did 2:53 something.
Yeah.
I'm doing the exact same mileage. I'm changing two things. I always try to change something, right? Just to try and to. That's part of being a coach, to try things, being your own guinea pig, and give that to your runners. So the two things I'm doing different this time is, one, I'm not doing big long runs because I was just running 4 days a week for my spring marathon. So it was 70K over 4 days only. And I have to say I felt really tired after my long runs.
So you're doing most of your weekly mileage on the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing 5 days a week, so I only need to train 21K for my long runs. I think I went to 26 in September, but I'm hitting the same mileage, but I'm feeling way fresher and way faster. So I feel faster than ever. I don't know how my legs are gonna feel after 32K because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
But let's see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the second thing is I'm gonna change my race nutrition to Morton to keep Kipchoge fuel.
Yeah.
I tried it on my last long run 21K a week and a half ago, and it felt great. I don't think 1 hour and a half is enough to feel the difference in the carbs, because you have enough carbs to run a half marathon inside your body.
Yeah, especially at your speed. Some people would do a half marathon in 3 hours, and then they would need a little bit more.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But I just want to see how they taste. The drink mix tastes awful, for me at least. But it's something I can deal with it.
Is it just not a lot of sugar? Like it's
it's just
healthy?
it's just like a very strange taste.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. I'll let you try some.
You can add it to squirt some like sugar and lemon
Yeah,
juice
or
in there,
like
maybe.
my wife has like the Soda Stream drops, like I don't know, some bubbly or something like that. I don't know. But having 300 calories in your hand available, it's gonna be super cool. So instead of having 300 to 400 calories that I've done in my past marathons, I'm gonna have almost 700 calories this time.
And this is marathon number what for you? How many have you done?
This is my number 5 fast.
5. Okay.
Plus 11 consecutive.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference. It tastes awful, but the gel is way easier to swallow than goose, in my opinion.
More like a maple syrup texture, like more liquidy?
No, it I don't know, very strange. It's more like it forms like little droplets.
Oh, okay.
It's more, I don't know, it feels more like rubber.
It kind of sounds like it's a little bit less messy. Like sometimes I've tried the maple syrup ones and it gets everywhere because it's almost too thin.
I
just have to practice with it, I'm sure.
Exactly.
But yeah.
But yeah, I think let's see how it goes. I will tell you after the marathon in a few weeks.
We'll find out.
Yeah, cool. So, recovery tips for runners. We think we have 4 main ways to recover. Let's start with why it's important to recover. Why so much emphasis in recovering and not in a training plan, for example?
There's a quote, and I hate saying quotes when I don't remember who said it. I'm not going to say who it was because I don't remember who it was.
There's a saying.
But there's a saying, and I might not get it exactly, but you'll get the gist of it. The only training you benefit from is the training you recover from.
Yep.
So you can go do a fantastic long run and you can go have an amazing speed session, but if you don't fuel and hydrate well and sleep well afterwards and easy day the next day and just recover from it properly, you might as well have not done it. So you can have someone who nails all of their speed sessions, long runs, everything feels good, and they either get injured or they don't have a good race because they just didn't prioritize recovery. And the more you train, the more you need to prioritize recovery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're not elite athletes, so we don't have time to sleep 10, 12 hours at night. We don't have time to nap. So we're going to talk about things that we regular runners can do to improve our recovery. And the first one is sleep.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so important.
It's so important. So how do you, I know it's hard for you, but how do you try to prioritize your sleep or sleep more?
I try to make sure I'm getting at least 7 hours a night. So
That's
what's recommended is at least 7. So they say 7 to 9.
Yeah.
Aiming for 9 when you're doing more volume and more training. So I try to do minimum of 7. I'm pretty good at getting 7 or 8.
Okay.
I do have a 5-year-old and she, like last night, so I ran 26K yesterday and we were awake with her from 3 to 5:30 in the morning because she had a fever and wasn't feeling well.
Wow.
So it didn't matter that I needed to recover from my 26K run. My daughter was awake and took priority. So you try, but it's not always doable. But I try to, on average, aim for 8, but at least 7. And then the unfortunate thing is if you don't sleep well, if you've got time, you can nap. But I don't have I can't nap. Emily's 5, so she's not napping anymore. There's no napping when she naps anymore.
Napping. I think napping is just for people that live in Spain. They nap all the time. Look, you didn't get your sleep. Is there something you're going to try to do to compensate it?
So when I go home tonight, I usually get home from work around 5:30. put Emily to bed around 7:30, and I'll often like I might do some work or I might clean the house or just be on the go, and I'm just gonna try to chill and go to bed early and make up for the hours that I missed last night. So I usually go to I'm usually asleep by 11.
Okay.
So I'll try to be asleep by 10:30, 10:15 if
Cool.
I can. Yeah.
So people, okay, you need to at least sleep within 7 and 9 hours, right? So that's what you need to do. There's not a workaround to that, right? So because I hear people, no, I only sleep 5 hours a week, or I can only sleep, or I have insomnia and stuff like that. If you want to run better, if you want to run faster, if you want to make the most out of your training, you need to sleep more.
Absolutely. And that's probably, if you look at all the research on recovery, sleep is at the top of the list always. And it's free.
Yeah.
So you don't need to buy the massage guns and pay for the massage therapy sessions. Well, sure, do that if it feels good and it helps. But the research towards sleep is solid.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing you could possibly do.
Yeah. So sleep more. That I don't think we don't have any useful tips or strategies.
It's simple.
It's
And I think that's why it's such a good recovery tip, because it's simple.
Yeah.
I do recognize that it's hard. Like I would like to get 9 hours sleep a night, but then we put Emily to bed around 7:30 or 8. So if I was asleep by like 9:30, that means my husband and I get like no time together, no time to relax and watch TV or go, take the dog for a walk if my parents are close and can come watch them. Like there's just nothing. You just go to bed.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate there's this downtime, like it's precious in the evening, but you have to weigh that with, and I'm more strict with myself if I've had track workout that day or a long run. I'll try to really make sure I go to bed on time. Those nights. Yeah.
And I think that's our next tip of recovering. Stress management, right? And I think it goes with what you just said. You could sleep more, but stress management and having meaningful time with your husband and just being by yourself sometimes, because we as parents, we are parents, we work, we run, it's hard to get alone time.
And I feel like sometimes you're just on all day.
Exactly.
Like I'm problem solving people's injuries and trying to help them get these different goals, and then I come home and I'm working with Emily and putting her to bed, and then it's like I just need the world to stop for like a couple hours and relax, and that looks different for everyone. But with stress management, so
why it's important to
I feel
manage it.
So from a scientific perspective, it's important because if you have high levels of stress and it's chronic stress, you can have elevated cortisol levels in your blood, and that can lead to increasing inflammation, and it can lead to running injuries. And I need to look up the statistic, but there's a certain percentage your rehab slows down by if you're dealing with stress.
Okay.
So if you're injured and you're rehabbing it and you're trying to get back and you're under a lot of stress, whether it's family related, work related, whatever it is, your injury rehab can actually be delayed from the amount of stress you're in.
Okay.
And I think this is why the tip is not to reduce your stress, because that'd be lovely if it was that easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But to try to manage it the best you can. And I think it looks different for everyone. So for some people, it's finding a good therapist and doing therapy sessions. For others, it's learning how to meditate. For some, it's like just doing what they love to do to relax.
Yeah.
So it depends on what works for you.
Yeah. What works for you?
For me, I just need some downtime to do what I enjoy, and it's not running. It can't be, running doesn't count. That's stress management. But if your only way of dealing with stress is running, you're going to be in trouble. So I often ask runners when I'm meeting them, like, what else do you enjoy doing? And if they can't answer that, if running is the only thing, that's a red flag, because they have no other way to enjoy life, manage stress. That's it. So if all of a sudden they're injured, they have nothing to fall back on. And if they're only enjoying running, it's just they're more likely to burn out. So other than running, what I like to do for stress management.
Running is like a mental or stress management, but not a physical stress management.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So my go-to, I love reading. I love reading fiction. Historical fiction is big. I'm big into that lately. So I just laying on the couch or getting in a hot bath and just reading. That's one of my favorite things to do. I like watching different shows on Netflix. My husband and I are watching House of the Dragon right now, the Game of Thrones kind of prequel, I guess you would call it, which we're not loving, but it's still like we're time together, relaxed, enjoying on the couch. I love cooking, so like just getting a good recipe, and I'm on my feet, but I'm not working out and exercising.
Yeah, your mind is in another place, relaxing and recovering. Yeah,
exactly. And I play the recorder, and my husband plays the mandolin. So sometimes we'll pick out some music and go down in the basement and play in the evenings while Emily's asleep. So these are all things that to me it's very relaxing. I just kind of veg out and chill.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What do you like?
I have a really not strict but a morning routine. When I wake up and I read, I meditate, and I have some pictures in my phone that I go through them every day, reminding me what I want to get out of the day, to have time with my kids, to run, but just like setting the tone for the day is very important for me. Mm-hmm. So the days that I don't have time to have like those 20-30 minutes in the morning before everything starts, I feel very stressed. It seems funny, but I can see it in my heart rate.
Yeah.
The days that I don't start the day relaxed, or the days that I start the day, we are waking up late to get the kids to school, so I don't have those 20 to 30 minutes in the morning, my heart rate that day, it's on the roof all day.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So the other thing is running, but we already talked about that it doesn't count on this.
Yeah.
On this part of reducing stress and top tips of recovery. But yeah, I love to run by myself. That's one of the reasons I don't do long runs with anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some people like to run with others, and that's their stress management, because they vent about their work to their running partner, about their kids and what they're doing at school. But I do enjoy solo runs. Yeah,
and at night also, yes. After putting the kids to bed, just having some time with Val, mm-hmm. and lately we haven't done it a lot. We've been really stressed and trying to go full time all the time. So, kids are at bed, I'm going to go to work again and stuff like that. But when I'm feeling really tired, and this week, for example, taper week, it's very important to manage stress as much as I can. But yeah, I think that morning routine is the most important thing I do.
And I think it becomes more important the more stressful life is. So some people, I'll often ask people, do you feel like you have low, moderate, or high levels of stress? And if someone answers moderate or high, ideally they need to have good coping strategies and ways.
And when you are stressed, you don't feel that you have time to to because you are stressed and you're trying to fix that issue. So
it's even more important.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle then that I don't have time. I need to be on all the time, but you are stressed. Yeah, but I need to solve this to get less stress.
You have to prioritize it.
Exactly.
And I think it looks different for everybody. Some people would book a massage or go get their hair done, their nails done, like something cosmetic. And when I say massage, I mean more not the athletic massage that we do at our clinic, but that like spa massage, or go to like Nordic spa. But mine tend to be stuff that I'm doing at home. But I feel like so Emily, she has some medical conditions, but she has epilepsy, she has autism, and these are things that aren't going to change. But one of the things that I feel like I've improved since she was born is just trying to focus on the good things. And so if we're having a really rough day, if behaviors aren't good, if she's had a seizure, it's like, well, at least, and then I have this list of things that I kind of go through in my head, like, at least we live in Canada and we're close to CHIO, which is a phenomenal hospital for children. And at least we can afford therapies. Like I'll have all these things, like, cool. It could be worse. And that helps, I find, if I focus on, like, at least we're in this situation and not that.
Yeah. And the other thing, lately I've been reading about Stoics and the Stoic life. That it's really interesting. And there's one book called The Life of Stoics that I learned a lot about. And I practiced something today. Mm-hmm. I was coming here to record the podcast, and I ran out of gas. Stupidly, I ran out of gas. Right? Stupid car said that I had 70 kilometers left, like 50 miles, and I didn't have 50 miles left. So I ran out of gas. in the past, I don't know, 6 years ago, I was stressed out. I didn't have my phone. It was charging at home. So I couldn't call anyone. I was just by myself in the middle of the road without gas. I was going to be late to record this. But I remember that Life of Stoics thing. And okay, this is like a challenge. The guy that wrote that book is like the challenge of the Stoics. That they're challenging me to see if I can chill out and just solve it without overstressing. And I did it mindfully, really mindfully. Okay, what can I do? Next step. And I think I didn't stress a lot at all today.
Yeah, you could have like punched the steering wheel. And
exactly.
Yelled
Fuck,
and
I need
got
to do
really
this.
upset.
But I was okay. I stepped out of the car, start pushing it. Some good Samaritan helped me to push it to a parking lot. Then I walk home. It was a nice walk.
At least it's not raining.
Exactly.
See, that's where my tips come in. Like, at least it's...
Exactly. That's a good... I took the other car, went to the gas station, fill up the tank, a bucket.
The jerry can, yeah.
Exactly. And go back to the car, fill it up, go get my wife. It was a lot of steps to do it, but I tried to do it as easy, as calm as I could. Mm-hmm. And I think it helped me in my life for sure, being more relaxed. But if I think it more, it helps me in my running because I'm recovering better of my runs in the past few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Life of the Stoics, it's a really good book.
Yeah. I think my husband's read that. He's all about Stoicism. No, that's his thing.
I've been into it the last year. I read one book of, I think it's Ryan Holiday. That dumbs down Stoicism. Because sometimes if you read a guy from before Christ and stuff like that, I can understand whatever.
It's too much.
Yes. Yeah. So this one is like introduction for Stoicism, and I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next one is nutrition. So I'll say I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist, but we both have been running for a long time, so we've read a lot about it. We know what works, but
I took a diploma in nutrition once.
Okay, yeah. So you can speak
I'm not authorized to do diets and stuff like that, but I learned a lot about micronutrients, for example, and stuff like that. And
I think runners tend to focus. I feel like most of the runners I see, because it is something we'll talk about in the clinic. How's your fueling during the run, before the run, after the run, and runners tend to be pretty good before, because if you screw that up, you can ruin your run by having to have a bathroom.
And you feel like shit, yeah.
And you feel awful. And same during the run, you kind of experiment, figure out what works. But not all runners are really good at making sure that post-run nutrition gets in, and there's. It's important to get some good quality protein in, and there's a window, isn't there? Like
30
I think
minutes.
in 30 minutes, if you drive somewhere and you run and then you get home and you shower and an hour has gone by, you've kind of missed this ideal window of getting nutrients back, and that could lead to you feeling crappy your next run, or lead to you getting an injury, just that missing that refueling time. Yeah.
When I know I won't be able to go home soon or after my run, I always have a protein shake in my car.
Me too. Yeah. And if I am home, it's weird on the weekends. I eat a lot of sandwiches during the week and salads for lunch, but on the weekends I always just crave eggs and toast after a run. So my breakfast will usually be a bagel or oatmeal, something carb dominant. And then I go for my run, and then when I come home, I usually will have like scrambled eggs and cheese, which between the cheese and the eggs is a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And then some toast, and then I usually feel pretty good. But if I come home and if Emily needs me and I need to shower, and I'll usually do the protein shake thing, and then an hour later try to eat right away.
Yeah. And I've learned that the things you're craving is the ones that your body needs.
Salt for me a lot. After a big long run, I often want salt.
Yeah. I've heard of someone once that, I don't know if they were craving, don't laugh at this, either coins or nails.
Iron?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
They were really low on iron.
Oh, wow. I can't imagine. They must have thought they were going insane. That'd be kind of scary to suddenly be wanting to.
Yeah. It wasn't a runner, it was a family member. But they were super low on iron. And I that's when it clicked to me that, okay, yeah, what you crave, it's usually what you need. Your body is telling you that you need that kind of macronutrient or micronutrient. In this case, it was iron. But a really important point is that if you crave some carbs, don't eat some Twinkies. Right?
Yes.
Eat some healthy carbs.
Get the quality in there.
Exactly.
I kind of go, 80-20 running. I'm like that with my diet. I try to do 80-20 eating. Like I will eat, I try to eat well the night before a big run and after a run. But if I want pizza or if there's cake, like I try to eat well, but then if there's a little bit of junk food, but only like 20% of the week at most.
Yeah.
So try to like kind of keep it to the weekends for junky foods. But I do like to splurge, but I try to lower it a little bit leading up to a race, because then after the race you feel like you
can eat everything.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
You
earned it. Yeah, I'm the same. Usually my breakfast, lunch, and supper are healthy, and sometimes my snacks or dessert and stuff like that. It's the one that it's not healthy. But yeah, nutrition it's super important to get your nutrients and your carbs, right? We can talk about that. Carbs are super important for runners.
And I think if you're not, so I definitely, if my volume is up, if I'm beyond 60K a week, I find I'm craving bagels and sandwiches and spaghetti and pasta. And a lot of people, I think runners who are newer to running, they might not realize the importance of carbs before a long run. So I had a runner who had like basically steak and a salad the night before a long run, and then felt terrible during that long run. And it didn't matter that she had been doing strength training, she had built up to that run slowly, she was sleeping well, she just kind of had no gas. And then when she did it again the following week, and I believe she had pasta or pizza or something the night before, the report was very good. Like she felt excellent. And I think you have to kind of experiment with what works. Like for me, I don't like the really creamy pastas or the big pizza with all the cheese. I'm more like a tomato sauce pasta the night before. That sits better in my stomach, whereas my husband could eat like pizza or whatever he wants, and his guts handle it a little bit better. So I think you have to experiment and see what works for you.
Yeah, you need to train that also, right? I was just reading, I can't remember, I'm terrible with names, but she trained her nutrition not just during the marathon, the breakfast, and the 2 days before. She ate the exact same thing. It was an elite runner. The exact same thing for 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she got really used to eating that.
Yeah.
I did a run once. It was, for some reason, my husband loves pancakes, and he would eat it for supper every day, I think, if I agreed to this.
Okay.
And I like making this pumpkin pancake recipe. So we had that on a Friday night, probably just an easy weekend meal. So we have pumpkin pancakes Friday night, and then I wake up Saturday morning to go run, and I thought, I'll just have a couple pancakes. And I had the best run ever. And I was like, next time I race a marathon, I'm eating pumpkin pancakes and see if that, because lots of carbs.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story. I used to have a nutritionist when I was doing triathlons, because triathlons are way intenser or more intense than runners. It's, you try to nail everything. Well, I have a nutritionist, and she gave me the taper week, a full plan and everything, but I was at a hotel that morning and I couldn't find what she said I should have for breakfast. So I ate like a Danish pastry. That was my breakfast. I threw up at the middle of the run. And
so you got through the swim and the bike, and then on the run you threw up.
Yeah. Oh. And I was like, this is so strange. I've never thrown up before. And I wrote to her, this happened. And she was like, okay, what did you have for breakfast? This. Oh, fuck, that was it. So
you haven't had Danish pastries again before a run?
No, I travel with my oatmeal now.
Yeah, we did my first marathon in Italy. We brought those like instant oatmeals and ate it that morning in the hotel because we didn't know what we'd be able to get in Italy. Exactly. I'm sure you can get oatmeal in Italy, but we wanted our oatmeal.
Yeah, and it's the oatmeal you are used to, right? It's not the same. So yeah, I travel with my oatmeal everywhere right now and have the exact same breakfast every day.
Yeah, and don't mess with it.
Yeah. So, but nutrition is important I think in two aspects of recovery. One, overall, having good quality food to help your body recover, not having Twinkies or Oreos and stuff like that. There are carbs, but They're not
Yeah.
the good ones. And the other part is your recovery from your runs. And we talk about the post-snack recovery
Yeah.
meal.
And I feel like the nutrition can kind of slip into the like stress management category in some ways, as long as you're not letting it get out of hand. Because one thing, like on a Friday, if it's been a crazy week, my husband makes really good, he's a good baker and he makes good pizza crust. So we'll just put Emily down and have a couple beer and make pizza from scratch. And that can be really rewarding and fun and relaxing.
Yeah.
So it's like good stress management, but then
Good nutrition.
for the run the next day. So it kind of checks off 2 boxes if you do like to cook.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you need to sleep more, sleep better, right?
Yeah, good quality sleep.
Good
is
quality sleep.
Important if you can.
I've heard and read that having a cool bedroom is nice. Black as much as you can.
And no screens.
Yeah, exactly. No
Before
screen like
bed.
before bed, and no caffeine. It's something I started working on that yesterday because I drink a lot of Coke.
Do you really?
Yes, a lot of Coke. I drink like 4 or 5 cans a day.
Oh wow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So I found a caffeine-free Coke yesterday, and I bought a case and I tried it yesterday. And according to my Garmin HRV and stuff like that, I slept better than the day and usually.
Interesting.
I don't know if it was coincidence or a placebo effect or whatever. I'm gonna try to do it more consistently and let's see how it goes. I think my point here is that there's always something you can improve, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've told you that Rochelle and I are super intense runners and we take care of our nutrition, our recovery, but there's always something to improve, and not because I'm doing it or someone is doing it, you need to do it to have a good race or improve your PRs, because I've been having caffeine all my life and I've been improving my times. I guess and I hope that improving that part of my sleep, it's gonna translate into running faster. But let's see how it goes.
We'll see.
I think my point, is keep improving. For example, it's taking too long, this one, but I'm gonna tell you one more thing. I always have oatmeal for breakfast, always. And I used to put like 1 scoop of sugar because it tastes awful, right? I don't like oatmeal without sugar. But then an aunt of my wife came to our house like for 3 weeks, and she was like, "You can substitute that sugar for cinnamon." And it said that cinnamon has some anti-inflammatory benefits. So I started to add like half sugar, half cinnamon, and now I only add cinnamon to my oatmeal, and I haven't been injured in almost a year, and there are less calories in my breakfast, and sugar is not the best nutritional.
So I should put cinnamon in my tea instead of sugar, is what you're saying.
You can try it.
I'll try it and
Yeah.
see if I have my best half marathon. in 3
Exactly.
weeks.
You can. There's
Yeah.
always something to improve. Always
Absolutely.
something to improve.
Yeah.
But start from where you are and keep getting better from there. Right.
Yeah.
We have one last recovery tip. We talk about sleep, nutrition, stress management, and the last
Easy
one
running.
is easy running.
Easy running. That's
It's hard.
probably what.
It's hard to do easy running.
Elite runners are really good at it. If you follow some of the elite runners on Strava, like Kira D'Amato, Molly Seidel, Natasha Wodak, these are some of the ones I follow, Rory Linkletter. Now if you look at it, you think that's not easy because it's like a 4:30 pace,
But
but
it's easy for them.
to them it's easy.
Yeah.
They really, really do well. And it's the only reason they can do the mileage that they do is because they run their easy runs truly easy. So I think there's too many runners that aren't maximizing their interval sessions or their long runs and the quality of them, because if they do 1 or 2 interval sessions a week and 1 long run a week, the other runs, whether they do 2, 3 other ones a week, are not like short and easy enough. So then they're not as able to go as fast at intervals. The long run doesn't feel as good. And then you're kind of just in this like moderate zone,
Yeah.
kind of junk mile area. So like the easier you take those runs, the better you're going to feel with your long run. And the more mileage you can do.
Yeah.
Like if you run truly easy, you can actually do more mileage and feel better.
Yeah, and mileage is the number one thing that you can do to improve your running. The more you run,
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter if it's long runs or tempo runs or easy runs, or the more you run, the faster you're gonna get. And I always tell runners that you need to focus on 3 workouts a week, right? Your speed session, your long runs, and depending on the distance you're running, your tempo run or another speed session. All the other ones doesn't matter, but you need to do them.
Yeah.
My point here is that we as runners sometimes think that we need to maximize every training session. So I'm gonna do an easy run. Yeah, I'm gonna do 10K at 4:30 because I think it's gonna be better than running slower, right? And no, you just say the goal of those easy runs are to get you ready for the key sessions of your workouts. I've read that, for example, Elite Runner said if it's a workout, it's a long run or a speed session or a tempo run. That's a workout.
Everything else is easy.
Everything is.
Yeah.
And they don't call them workouts. They call them easy runs.
Yeah.
Or runs.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and it's the best way to stay injury free to actually running easy during those easy runs. Because if you're trying to just push the pace all the time, you're not giving the body a chance to recover.
Exactly. And we're talking about that.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to do your long run and your speed sessions, if you need to run more during the week because if not you're not gonna do enough mileage. And it's easy runs. Now, how easy are easy runs?
I like the 3 C's. Have you heard of that?
No.
The run should be controlled, comfortable, and conversational.
Okay.
So controlled in that you feel like you could kind of go all day at that pace, very comfortable. And then if you were to have a long conversation with someone next to you, it's like no problem, you're not huffing and puffing. One podcast I listened to, they interviewed an expert on this topic, and he talked about closing your mouth and trying to breathe through your nose.
Okay.
Now, if you're congested at all, or if you don't breathe well through your nose, don't try that. But if you're running so fast that you can't nasal breathe, then it might be a sign that you're pushing at the pace a little bit too much. You can get into the nitty gritty and like calculate your true heart rate max and your VO2 max and then do the math. But I think if you want to keep it simple, it's the 3 C's, and then try that, like, can you run and breathe through your nose? And if you can, you're probably okay.
Okay. I'm an engineer, so I like numbers.
Yeah.
So what I do after a lot of reading and testing, and sometimes I mix this coach with this coach and this book with this book. But if you run between 60 and 65% of your mile pace, it's a good easy run.
Oh, that adds up to Matt Fitzgerald's book. So he talks about you do a 2 to 3K warm up, and then you do a max speed test for 6 minutes.
Yep. That's based on Veronique Billand. He's
Okay.
a brilliant researcher from France. I based all my training paces from that test, the 6-minute test. I'm probably saying her last name wrong, but it's Veronique Billand, something like with the big B. And and if you and it's funny because if you do 60 to 65% of that mile pace, it's almost for me it's a little over a mile, 6 minutes. For other people it's a little less than a mile, stuff like that. But let's say a mile pace or a 6-minute time test. It falls pretty much into every other formula you see out there. If you see a formula that your easy runs should be, I can't remember if it's 20 or 25% slower than your 5K pace, it falls into that category.
Oh, interesting.
Into that pace. And there's another formula, I can't remember it right now because I haven't used it in a long time, but it's from your marathon pace. So from your marathon pace, you need to run your easy runs at between 80% or something like that. And it falls in maybe a few seconds more, a few seconds less.
So it adds up with all these other...
Yes. So that's that's me, because I feel I'm terrible at the conversational part. I always feel I can...
you can... And I find
have a
that's tricky because
conversation.
some people are like, yeah, I can talk.
Yeah, and you can see
but
you're
is it
dying.
truly comfortable? Like you're speaking, but you sound like
Yeah.
you're not very comfortable. I didn't do the 6-minute speed test, but because I have this race coming up, so I didn't want to like mess with my program. But I pictured if I did a 2-3K warm up and then ran 6K flat as fast as I could, I feel like my average pace, based on the fact that my my PB for 5K, like in the past year, is just over 20 minutes. I feel like I could probably do like 3:45, 3:50 for 6 minutes. And then if you take 65% of that, like put it to speed, kilometers per hour, 65%, then back to minutes per kilometers, it's 5:45. And that's what I've been trying to do lately, and it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels like I used to do 5:30, 5:35, and just that little extra 10 seconds is nice.
I too. I used to do my easy runs at like 4:30, 4:40, but according to that formula, it's between 4:50 and 5:10. So I've been doing that, and
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah.
So for the science nerds, the ones who like to get into the numbers,
exactly.
I'm gonna do my test just so I can see. But yeah, let's try that one.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of options for everyone. If you want to go by feel, go by feel. I find it hard for me and for other runners because we don't run that much as elite runners to have that good feel of how fast we're running, in my opinion. So
and it's very subjective. Whereas what you just said is very objective. Calculate this, do the math.
And it depends on if you didn't sleep well, if you didn't have your breakfast,
if it snowed,
if
and
it's
the ground
if
is
it's
icy.
cold, if it's hot.
Yeah.
All of those things affect your perception of your effort.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, 60 to 65% of your 6-minute test mile, it's a way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, so those are our top recovery tips for runners: sleep, nutrition, stress management, and easy running. As always, if you have something to say about it, write to us at chasingprs.run, right?
Absolutely.
Now let's go to the runner of the week.
John Tagano.
Yes. Why is he red runner of the week? Because he's 61 and he just ran a 1:31 half marathon.
Yeah.
I think that's impressive.
That's very impressive. And he's another one. He's very consistent.
Yeah.
He runs very well all year long.
And he was 10 seconds short from first place age group.
It's hard that you don't know that. Like it's not like he was second male.
Yeah.
It's not, if there's a man.
Yeah, there's thousands of people crossing with you.
But it just happened that the person in his age group was 10 seconds ahead. I wish there was a way to know that, because guaranteed, I know John, he would have
pushed those 10
seconds. Yeah.
So congratulations, John. As always, you're an inspiration for everyone. And I think I just said it on the last episode, but you are never too late to start running.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? At 61, I just turned 40. And I remember when I was like 20, 40 was old, right? By 40, you need to have your life figured out completely. And now that and especially in running, at 35, you start to decline your speed and stuff like that. And just seeing people running 1:30 half marathons at 60 and 2:45 marathons at 50, it's really, it gives me hope.
Yeah, and you can keep getting faster even though you're 40.
Exactly, that's the goal. Okay, and let's do our chasing sprints.
So Ben Flanagan, he is a Canadian elite runner who just did the half marathon and broke the Canadian record in 1:01 flat. That's so fast.
That's so fast. I can't imagine running that fast.
Yeah.
And he was 18th place.
Yeah. I keep thinking, wow, Canadians are really, but everybody's just getting faster and faster. Like to do 1:01 and come 18th.
Yeah. And he also has the Canadian records of the 5K and 10K. Interesting enough.
I think with performances like that, it's because you compare, runners are really bad for comparing with the others. And you say you're easy pace and someone says, oh my God, that would be my 5K PB if I could do that. And you're always comparing. But when you're comparing to others and you're feeling down on yourself, think about Ben Flanagan and how probably excited he was to cross the line with a Canadian record. But there was 17 men ahead of him.
Yeah.
So he's like comparing himself to them, I'm sure. And
when we are talking about him.
Yeah, and the difference between him and first place is probably like
2 minutes something.
And at elite level running a lot.
Yeah.
But still, you have to celebrate your own goals and your own rewards, because the fastest ever half marathon run by a Canadian is a huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to cut slack to ourselves. I was just talking to someone that, I did my a marathon in 3 hours and 43 minutes, something like that. Her goal was 3:45, and it was, but I wish I should have got 2:40. 3:40 something. Sorry. There's always that.
Yeah.
10 seconds, 1 minute, something like that. But it's part of being a runner, and let's take Ben as an example of consistency and inspiration. And there's always time to improve, but there's always time to celebrate your wins.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to another episode of Chasing PR Podcast. See you next time.
See you then.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you love it, give it a share. Please consider subscribing to the show and leaving a rating and review on iTunes or Spotify. And visit chasingprs.run for all the latest episodes, get our free newsletter, and all the cool running stuff we have there. Thanks for joining.